Hi everybody, this is Spring, the fiber enthusiast. Welcome back for another crochet pattern tutorial. This is my own pattern. Please feel free to make this pattern and sell your make. Just please give credit to the designer, which is me. I would greatly appreciate it. Please do not copy this pattern and sell the pattern as your own. Please follow all copyright guidelines. Okay, so what did I use for this? Well, I use Lion Brand Feels Like Butter in the colorway red. How exciting, huh? Red. I do like this. It is so super soft. And I wanted to do something with a little bit of lace to it. So that is what I've done. I've done some lace and then I put an edging on it that will look really striking around your neck and collarbone area. Okay, so this pattern in the tutorial, I make it to my comfort level, but I explain how you can adjust the size. I give you multiples and tell you how to make it bigger, smaller, wider, or taller, however you want to say it. This piece is also made in the flat and slip stitched together on the wrong side. Even though it is a reversible pattern, I used one side as the wrong side and one side as the right side. You also can use this pattern for multiple other things like blankets and garments of other sorts like sweatshirts and vests and things like that. Just remember it is a lace pattern, so it is breathable. It won't be as warm as a solid fabric. It will still have warmth to it, just not as warm. Okay, guys, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. I will see you there. Okay, so we'll get into some basics here, and then I will teach you how to do this stitch, and we'll go ahead and finish this off together. So what I have here is a flat panel. Mine measures 21 inches, laying flat without stretching it out, just laying here flat. That is my preference. Again, you can make this any size you want to, but for the cowl that I'm making for myself, I measured as I did the chain to see where it was comfortable for me for around my neck, not too loose and not too strangling tight or so tight I can't get it over my head, because, you know, kind of hard to wear it around your neck if you can't get it over your head. I'll go over the basics because I'm just going to do a small swatch to show you how to do this stitch. So for mine, I did a base chain of 66 plus 5. The multiples you'll need is 6 plus 5. So at the end of your multiples of 6, you just add 5 stitches. That's all that means. You don't add after every 6 stitches. You don't add 5. Otherwise, we would just say it's in multiples of 11. So, when you're chaining, you just do a multiple of 6 that is to the length that you desire to go around your neck as a cowl. We're going to sew this together and then do a design border on one end of it. Okay, so I did 66 plus 5. I did 11 rows of the pattern, and now I'm to the point where I will slip stitch it together and single crochet around the top, and we'll get into that in just a minute. I'm going to go ahead and set this out of the way and bring over some scrap yarn, my famous bright colors that I tend to use. I'll zoom in on this in just a second. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do a slip stitch. Now this is a very simple pattern. It's very, very easy to make. It's a very easy repeat. It's one of them that you just kick back and watch TV and work across every row until you get it to the height that you desire. And it's just like really simple. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I got 3 multiples of 6. Now I'm going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's that plus 5 part. And now what you're going to do is you're going to work a double crochet into your 4th chain. So let's zoom in a little bit here. So remember, the loop on your hook is just a loop on your hook. You're going to count back 1, 2, 3, 4, and place a double crochet into that 4th chain. Okay, so at this point, those 3 chains that you skipped is your first double crochet. The thing to remember with this pattern is your very first stitch and your very last stitch is an equivalent of a double crochet, whether it's the physical double crochet or a chain. It is to equal a double crochet. So right now, looking at it, we have 2 double crochets. We're going to chain 2 and place a double crochet back into the same place that you just made a double crochet. So this is our V stitch. This V stitch has a chain 2 in between. Okay, so now we're going to skip 2, and into the 3rd, we're going to do a double crochet cluster. So skip 1, 2, and into the 3rd one. I'll go over this across this base chain with you. You yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2. We're going to do that 3 more times. Yarn over, insert your hook into that same stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and go through 2. Yarn over, insert your hook into the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2, and now we need 1 more. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and go through 2. You should have 5 loops on your hook. Your first loop is going to be from the last double crochet you made, and the next 4 are for those half of a double crochet that you started. We're now going to complete that by yarning over and going through all 5 stitches. And now we're going to chain 1. Make sure your chain 1 is loose enough that you can work your hook back through it on the next row, because we will be using that spot to place a stitch. Okay, so now we're going to yarn over, skip 2, 1 and 2, and in the third one we're going to place another V-stitch. So double crochet, chain 2, 1 and 2, and a double crochet back into that same space. Okay. We're going to go ahead and work another one of those cluster stitches. So skip 1, 2, and into the third one, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, insert your hook back into that same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and go through 2, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and go through 2. One more time, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and go through 2. Again, you would have 5 loops on your hook, yarn over, and go through all 5 loops. Chain 1, making sure it's not too tight. We want to be able to work into it on the next row. Okay, so now we're going to skip the next 2 chains, 1, 2, and place a V-stitch into the third. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and double crochet. Chain 1, 2, and double crochet back into that same stitch. All right. Back to a cluster, skip your next 2 chains and into the third chain, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and go through 2, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and go through 2. One more time, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and go through 2. 5 loops on your hook, yarn over, go through all 5, and chain 1. Once again, make sure you leave it loose enough that you can work into it. Now we're back to a V-stitch. Skip your next 2 stitches and into the third stitch you're going to place your V-stitch. 1 double crochet, chain 1 and 2, and 1 more double crochet into that same stitch. You should have one stitch remaining, 1 chain left down here at the end. You're going to place a double crochet into that chain. Now chain 1, 2, and 3, turn your work. And this is our repeat row. We have now set up our row. Now we're going to work on our repeat row. We're going to place a cluster stitch in the chain 2 space and place our V-stitch in the top of the cluster stitch. So opposite the row before. That is your repeat throughout the pattern. Every row is opposite the row below. So let's go ahead and I'm going to work a little bit faster on these cluster stitches. And if I said a puff stitch, I'm terribly sorry. Okay, 5 loops, yarn over and go through all, chain 1. Now we're going to put a V in the very top of that cluster stitch. So double crochet, chain 1 and 2, and double crochet back into that same space. And now a cluster stitch into this chain 2 space. Go through all 5, chain 1. And now we'll place a V stitch into the top of that cluster stitch. Double crochet, chain 1 and 2, and double crochet back into that same stitch. Okay, now we're going to place a cluster in the next chain 2 space. Yarn over and go through all 5, chain 1. V stitch into your next cluster, to the top of that next cluster where you made your chain 1. So double crochet, chain 2, double crochet back into that same stitch. Okay. Now we're going to place a cluster into the chain 2 space of our next V. Go ahead and begin that. And now you're going to place a double crochet into the top of that chain 3. Make sure you don't go into the top of your double crochet here. You want it down here in the chain 3. Okay. So now we're going to chain 3 and reverse our work. And we'll do a couple more just to get started. Remember, we're going opposite of the row before. So now we're going to place a V-stitch on top of this cluster. So double crochet, chain 2, and double crochet. And now you're going to place a cluster into your chain 2 space of the next V. And a V on top of your next cluster. Pretty simple. Once you get going, it's easy to determine where your stitches are going. Placement of the stitches makes it super easy with this pattern because you're working in your chain 2 space and the chain 1 that you put on top of your cluster. So you just continue working that pattern for as many rows as you want for the height of your cowl. Okay. So that's the pattern right there. That's all there is to the pattern. It's very, very simple. I'm going to set this sample out of the way here. And we're going to go back to the project itself. I'm going to zoom back out so that way you can see more of it. And now I'll measure how tall I made mine, just in case you're wondering. The height of mine is 6.5 inches, and that is 11 repeats, well, 11 rows. Okay, so I finished down here at the end. The neat thing about this pattern is it's completely reversible. Very, very nice. So I'm going to turn my work sideways here, and I have my loop from where I left off, the furthest away from me. I'm going to find the end here of this section and insert my hook into it right at the very end. Now I'm going to grab my loop and pull my loop through, and what we're going to do is a slip stitch join all the way down, and we are currently working on what will be the wrong side. So you want to line up your two ends so that way they match. And you're just going to evenly place some slip stitches along the way. Just nice and neat. Don't get it too tight so it draws together. You just want to gently find your next place to insert your hook through both pieces, and then just slip stitch across. Okay, continue slip stitching across your work until you have reached the end. Occasionally, you're going to want to check to make sure you're still even across here. You can even join them together with some yarn. Just tie a little safety knot in it that you can get out fairly easy. Some stitch markers, or just kind of do like I'm doing and check every so often to make sure everything is still lining up. I'm going to go ahead and continue working across, and I will meet up with you once I have got to the end. Okay, so I have reached the end of my slip stitch section, and now what I'm going to do is turn the work right side out, and now you're going to work a single crochet trim all the way around. And within this trim, if you're following around with me, you're going to want 68 single crochets. Now, if yours is bigger or smaller, you're going to have to change that. The idea is you're going to want multiples of 4 single crochets all the way around. So as long as your single crochets are divisible by 4, you will be fine. For me, I need 68 double crochet or 68 single crochets all the way around. And I'm going to go ahead and crochet over the top of this tail from the very, very beginning. So that's 2 and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and that way you kind of get the picture here. We're just kind of placing in the chain 2 space 2 single crochets, 1 single crochet in the top of that cluster, and carrying on all the way across. Again, just as long as it is divisible by 4. So go ahead and carry on putting single crochets around this end, and then we will start our trim pattern. This is giving us something to work into that is in equal number. I'm going to finish my 68 single crochets around my project and meet back up with you. Okay, so I now have my 68 single crochets all the way around my work. Now let's start our pattern. The first thing you're going to want to do is chain 1, 2, and 3. Then we're going to skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and into the 4th single crochet here, we're going to place a double crochet. Okay. Then chain 1, 2, 3, and place 4 double crochets around the double crochet you just made. So just like this, you're going around the post of that double crochet that you made into your 4th stitch. So we're placing 4 double crochets. So with that chain 3 up here, you will have a total of 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And then we're just going to repeat this. We're going to skip 1, 2, 3, and into that 4th stitch, place a double crochet. Okay. So here's our double crochet. You can put your thumb and your middle finger on it and chain 1, 2, 3, and then place 4 double crochets around that stitch you were holding. And that is the repeat all the way around the entire cowl. This will be the trim for the bottom that goes around your chest, the bottom part of your neck, your collarbone area. Okay, see how that is? Okay, so we'll do it a couple more times together. We're going to skip 1, 2, 3, and into the 4th chain, place a double crochet. Again, you can put your thumb and your middle finger on it, holding it, or whatever you have to do to recognize that that's the double crochet you're going to work around. Chain 1, 2, and 3, and place 4 double crochets around the post of that double crochet you just made. Okay, one more time. Skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and into the 4th, place a double crochet. Chain 1, 2, 3, and place 4 double crochets around that last double crochet you made. One more time. I'll go really slow for this one. Zoom out just a hair. Okay, so skip the next 1, 2, 3, and in that 4th stitch, place a double crochet. Chain 1, 2, and 3. And now 4 double crochets around the post of the last double crochet you made. It's 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Set that down so that way you can see what it's looking like. Continue on around, and when you get to the end, I will show you how to join. Okay, so I'm down to my last 3 stitches, and you're probably wondering, well, what the heck are we going to do with this first chain 3 here? Well, I'll show you. So let's double crochet right at the base of that chain 3. That first chain 3, we're going to place a double crochet. Then we're going to chain 1, 2, 3, and place 2 double crochets in here. I'm sorry, 3 double crochets. So now we have a total of 4. And this first chain 3 makes our 5th double crochet. So what we're going to do is slip stitch to the top of that chain 3. And now shift your work over just a hair. Let me pull up a loop so we don't lose that. Shift your work over just a little bit so it's all even and equal. And now, see how it fits the rest of them? Okay. So now we're going to clip our tail off here and sew in the end. So I'm going to pull that up through. And I'm just going to weave back and forth through, but I'm going to do it on the underside. So again, my seams are all facing the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And you kind of just want to go back and forth 3 or 4 times, weaving in and out of your stitches here. Once you have that done, then you can clip off any excess you had left over. And there you have it. Now we have a cowl with a really nice lacy effect to it. And a nice little lacy border trim to the bottom. I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial. If you make this, I would love to see it. You could share it over on our Facebook group. You can email it to me, or you can tag me in it at on Instagram. All of those links are down below. Until next time, everybody, be blessed and be a blessing. I will add pictures of this at the end.